Are we recording? Yes, we are recording. That's good. Okay, there it is, and there it is. Mirror cage. Heart of the camera. Well, actually, the shutter is the heart of the camera. But the mirror cage is pretty important. And all these levers here, if I can ever, are just to push the mirror up to the top. When you press the shutter release, that's the first thing that happens. The mirror goes to the top. And then other things take place, like the camera sets the camera up with the meter setting. Shutter fires. Picture's taken, shutter closes. And then when the shutter closes, it pops the mirror back down in the starting position. And that's what all this is for. I haven't seen any cameras that are much less complicated than this. It's just a bunch of levers. It's kind of clunky, and I guess by today's standards, but that's the way they did it. And it worked. There's your mirror. Your viewfinder up there. Let's go up to the top. Handling it carefully here. I don't want to bend anything. This viewfinder, oh God, it's a pain. The viewfinders on all SLRs are a pain. And if you ever have to work on one, I feel sorry for you. This particular viewfinder has foam inside, wrapped all the way around. And it's flaking and it's gummy on all these cameras, and all cameras, SLRs. And so you undo this screw here, here, and here. Seems simple enough. You pull it out, it's one piece. And then you have to undo a screw over here and here, and that releases the tray that holds the screens here. There's two of them in there. And then you remove these screens, and then you start cleaning everything. It's just the gummy foam, flaking foam, gets everywhere. It gets on everything. You got to remove all of it. Then you got to clean the screens. Then you got to get that tray and put a strip of foam around it, just like the original, but new. Then you got to push the tray up, attach a screw here and here, keep it in place, and then the whole unit drops down inside. Sounds simple, but many times I've spent a whole day cleaning this screen and going through it. And you'd say, well, why does it take so long? Just one lint piece of hair, a cotton, a piece of dust. A piece of dust looks like a boulder when you're looking through the viewfinder. When you're looking through here, everything is magnified by the prism and the screens. And a customer would send in a camera to be repaired, which they still do since I'm in business still. And if they see one speck of dust in their viewfinder, and again, it looks like a boulder, they're going to send that camera back to you and say, well, you didn't clean the viewfinder. Well, actually, I did. And it probably took a whole day. But the thing is that static electricity, the screens are very sensitive to static electricity, and no matter how hard you get air and blow it out, there's always that one little piece is hiding. And maybe in shipment, or maybe just handling the camera, it becomes dislodged. It hits the screen, usually in the worst place where it's very obvious. And anybody who owns cameras will probably see some junk up in there, so they know what I'm talking about. Dirty screens are a headache. They don't affect the pictures, but they look terrible. And here's your mirror. Mine's got some, looks like dust on it. It's been sitting here on the desk, waiting to be reassembled. Let's see if I can get some of that off there. After I clean a viewfinder, I don't like to use air anymore. I use Q-tips to get the dust off the mirror. If you use air, you're liable to blow dislodge something, and then it'll work its way between the screens, If it's on the top of the screen or the bottom, that's usually pretty easy to get, but if it's sandwiched somewhere in between, you can't get to it unless you totally take the whole thing apart. Okay, this mirror here, the silver coating's on the top. I'm shaking here. Is on the top, not the bottom. The mirrors you have around the house, the silver coating's on the back, so no matter how hard you clean the surface, you're not going to damage this mirror coating. But on SLRs, it's on the top, and you have to be careful about rubbing it. Make sure it's clean or you get a scratch. If you look, you'll see a scratch right there. I didn't do that. That's the way it came. But the silver on the top of this mirror has been scratched. I could go through my cameras, but most of them are not even going to be this good. I suppose one could find a perfect mirror if they went through enough cameras. But then again, you got to go the headache of installing the mirror without scratching it. So it's kind of you're between a rock and a hard place there when you're talking about mirrors. If they're real bad, yes, I do replace them, but that'd be pretty bad before I'll replace the mirrors. This little gadget here is your lens stop down. When you press the shutter to release the shutter release at the top, it releases this right here, presses against the lens. These switches over here go to the light meter. I showed you on the, grab it again here. When you push up on this right here like that, what you're doing is pressing this right here. So you push up on the switch, meter on, you take your meter reading, and then you press down, turn your meter off, look through your viewfinder, focus, and then take your picture. Very simple system. This hole here is where your light meter goes through. That needle I showed you, the light meter bolts in from here and here. It bolts into place. Your needle goes into the viewfinder. I have to pull it off so you can see what I'm doing. I'm doing this all on screen. Sometimes I have to look down, so I have to move it. This right here, you can see the needle when you have it the exposure perfect, if there is such a thing, would be dead center right here. In the viewfinder, you're looking through it. So you turn your meter on, you set your shutter speed to whatever you want. You have to set your f-stop to match your shutter speed, or you have to turn your shutter speed to match your f-stop. You have to choose one or the other. You can't have both. If you're a photographer, you know what I'm talking about. The eyepiece rests, I told you, rests right in here. The bracket that I showed you presses it in here. There's usually a piece of foam on top of the eyepiece to kind of cushion it and hold it in place, and it works pretty good. Your eyepiece here is molded to the body. There's no way to replace it, so if you drop the camera or damage it out here, the paint's chipping off and it looks terrible, there's no way to replace it other than replace this whole top section, which is not impossible. I've done it, but a camera that has a removable eyepiece is preferable, but this Pentax doesn't have that. Here's your mirror. See, up and down, spring-loaded. That's about it on the mirror cage. Very simple, very basic. It's one reason I like this camera. When the electronics, they started putting more and more electronics in it, and they started using plastic gears, I won't say I lost interest, but I didn't enjoy working on them as much as these all-metal ones that were made to last. A camera like this, if there were somebody like me around to work on it, could be like a firearm. It could last hundreds of years because it's made so well. And unfortunately, thousands of these are going into the landfill every year because society moved on. They don't have any interest in these. And that's what I'm here for, is to explain it to you before all the history is gone. I could spend a lot more time, but this is probably going to be over an hour of video, and that's long enough for anybody to watch. My point here, this is a vlog, not a DIY. I'm not teaching how to fix it. I'm teaching you, it's a vlog is a video log. It would be like people taking a trip to a resort, a beach resort, and showing you what they eat and where they went and where they swam. It's the same thing, only it's inside a camera. It's about a trip through the camera. This right here is the mirror bumper, which I replaced. That's 2mm foam. The 1mm is not enough to cushion the mirror. Like this, when it goes up, it needs to be cushioned to keep it when the mirror slaps up from vibrating the camera and possibly blurring your picture, because that vibration will stay in there a second while the camera is taking its exposure, like that. And I guess that's about it. I've covered most of what's here. This is a camera that anybody could work on since it is mechanical. And with the knowledge I've given you here, it kind of gives you an idea of what areas of the camera where things are at. Anyway, we'll go ahead and stop here. Good place to quit. And next thing we'll do is the body. I couldn't leave without saying something else. These contacts here go up to that front plate and touch those plugs we were talking about. XP down here, FP up here, that go into the camera. And when I take a mirror cage off like this, I get a wire brush on a Dremel and clean these contacts to make sure they make good contact, because over the years they've tarnished, and you need to get back to the base metal so they make good contact. And I need to stop. Okay, now the body. Okay, we're recording. This is the camera body. The final part, the final thing. The heart of the camera, I suppose. Let's see here. Here we go. Okay, camera body. To refurb a camera, I have to always pull the mirror cage out so I can reach the shutter. And now where is the shutter? A little bit closer here. Oh, got lost. Camera's wrong position. Here is your shutter here. Right now it's closed. That's your closing curtain. It's a cloth covered in rubber, which doesn't seem very good, but it's lasted 40 plus years, so must be a pretty good system. There's the tip right there, and then there's the tip of the opening curtain, overlapping to keep the light out. And then the ribbons that are attached to these shutters wrap around these rollers here and here, and there's a roller there and a roller there. So I'm going to be switching cameras here pretty often, so I warn you. I keep the advance lever on the camera when I'm working on it, so I can do this. I can advance it and check everything. I've advanced it halfway, and if you'll look here, the lip, this is the let's see, what is that? I'm having trouble seeing here. looks like the opening curtain right here. Opening curtain, closing curtain. And your ribbons, like I said, are unwinding. And probably can cycle it. Let's try. I'm going to go ahead and finish up advancing it all the way. It clicked. I heard it click into place. And now, if I press down the release and press this right here, when you press this down, you're releasing the mirror cage. And the mirror cage presses against this. And that's a 1 second exposure, which I set up here. This is your speed control. Even though the knob and everything is off, it can still be moved. The knob is just, to grip it with. Okay, let's do that again. 1 second exposure. I could have set it for anything, but 1 second so you could see it. And there we go. And that's really all there is to it. These cameras all cameras really are basic, simple once you repair them and understand that when you press this, you're doing two things on most cameras. Usually it's taking a meter reading on the more advanced cameras. And after it gets a meter reading, it stores the information. Then it releases the mirror on the mirror cage. Mirror goes up. When the mirror when the mirror goes to the top, it trips the lever, usually along here somewhere, and starts the exposure. And counting on what you've set for, the opening curtain opens immediately, usually at around 12 milliseconds, and the closing curtain is timed for whatever you set it for. If you set it for a half second, it'll release after a half second. If you set it for a 30th of a second, it will release after a 30th of a second. Now the timer on this camera is right here on the bottom. Very simple little timer that times out the slow speeds. Now anything above 30th of a second is timed out up in here with cams, but anything below a 30th of a second is timed out here with this little timer. And when you service the camera, you see the pivot points here, top and bottom, where you have to oil it and then clean the oil out. You don't want to put too much oil in it, but those have to be, this timer has to be oiled. The other thing that has to be oiled, a big problem with cameras, all SLRs, unless it's a vertical shutter, is that this shaft dries out. Usually, the Sony camera doesn't know exactly where to focus. You can see the shiny here and here, that those shafts. On the left-hand side top, usually they dry out first. Why, I don't know, but that's where they dry out first. When they dry out, the camera will still work, but then the shutter speeds, or the shutter, starts, I don't know what the word would be, it's dragging, and maybe it's dragging a lot at the first, and then maybe not at the end, or maybe it's fast at the first and dragging at the end, but either way it messes up your shutter speeds. And I can get cameras in, and the shutter speeds are just all over the place. They're not accurate at all. And after I oil the shutter bearings here, and at the bottom, and on this side, which is going to be harder to see, there's one there, and there's one there, and then of course at the bottom. After you get those oiled, the shutter speeds fall in and the camera's okay. So a lot of people will say, well, I need you to work on my camera and I need to fix the shutter speeds. I can't fix the shutter speeds unless I pull the mirror cage out and oil these bearings, top and bottom. Now if the camera is, vertical shutter, that's a different story. They usually will stay accurate throughout the life of the camera, but on these type with a horizontal shutter and rollers, usually the bearings dry out. The shutter bearings dry out and they have to be oiled. Oh, the stomach's acting up. This little gadget here is the electronic flash contacts right there. And as this, let's see, maybe we can see it if we charge it up. And maybe we can't. Let's see. Okay, let's see here. If you'll look, there we go. Kind of see it. As it moves down, these separate. They're not touching any longer. And then when the camera is charged, this yellow stud right here with the insulator on it is up here. But when you fire the shutter, it goes around. I guess in this case, it would, from our position, it would be going clockwise. And it presses these two contacts together. I'll probably see it. Watch it, and here we go. Yeah, okay. And it trips your flash. So that's what that's for. That's that red wire that goes up to here, if you'll notice. So, what have we learned here? This foam here had to be replaced. The old foam in it was just falling apart. What it's for is to, up here, the viewfinder. The viewfinder's got sunlight coming through it as you're looking through it. If you didn't have foam here, the light from outside would shine down onto your film when the shutter's open. And it wouldn't ruin it, but it would what we call fog your film. You would lose contrast in your pictures. So that's what that's for. Different cameras had different ways of handling these things. They put their foam in different places and they design them different, but that's a lot of them. You have the foam somewhere near the top, near the viewfinder, to keep the light from the viewfinder getting down and hitting the film when you're taking your picture. This up here, I can't say much about it as far as function. It's just, you can obviously see there's gears. You got your advanced gear, which engages this. And I suppose it wouldn't hurt to, I don't know if it'll make a difference though. Pentax is one of the worst cameras there is about wear on the gears, causing it harder to advance. Worse, I mean worse than Minolta, worse than Nikon's, worse than, what are some of the other brands? I can't think. Worse than Olympus. It's absolutely worse than that. When you pick up a camera, one of these Pentax at a camera show, and you advance it, and the advance is really kind of hard. It's this gear right here that the teeth have become worn or rounded. And it also, this right here can be the problem also. But these two gears together on the Pentax, it's hard to explain. If you had a camera like this one, the first thing I did was advance it to see if the gear in here was any good. Remember I told you the pressure plate had very little wear on it, so I know that not much film had been shot through the camera. And for that reason, this gear and this gear are in still relatively new shape, new condition. And so the camera's still advancing very smoothly. But like on a Nikon or a Minolta, Canon, their gears for some reason don't cause this problem. I think it's more the design than it is the metal. But this gear here and here, if you pick up a Minolta, a Pentax at a camera show, and you advance it, and it's kind of hard to advance, just bypass it. You'll just have to trust me. I've tried oiling them, I've tried greasing them, and the only thing I've found that works is to replace this gear and this gear here. And you'd say, well, where do you can't buy them anywhere. Some camera repairmen somewhere in the world may have a few laying around, but how would you know what to tell him what you need? How would you, unless you got a part number? And would he even bother to answer your request? Because He's got to repair cameras. He can't be tracking down parts for you, which happens to me. People want this or they want that, and they don't realize that I'm working. I don't have time to track down parts for them. And they say, well, we'll pay for it. Yeah, but you can't pay enough. I make more money repairing cameras than I do selling parts, which I've never done. That's just my policy. I don't sell parts. So, I didn't know that I could even see it here for this video, but be warned. If a Pentax advances hard, in other words, if it feels good, if it's normal, yes, you can buy it. That means this gear is okay. But if it's a little bit hard, pass it up. If it's a lot hard, I've had some so hard that it felt like you were going to break the advance lever. And it says, oh, is this gear and this gear? I forget the name of that gear. Used to, when the cameras were new, it was no big deal. I just bought them from Pentax, ordered them, and put in a new one, and sent the camera on its way. Customer was happy, I was happy. But then when I could no longer buy them, then the problem started. India had a source for a while that made these, but they weren't any good. I bought some and tried them. I think I maybe got them through Micro Tools, but they're very poorly made or machined. These gears like these had to be machined. They can't be cast. And I want to say more, but I can't really say more, except that if you pick up a Pentax, I'm talking about a Spotmatic, an SP500, a 500, whatever, and it advances. They didn't change its design at all through all the Pentax line that I'm aware of. So no matter what model it is, if it's they made different cameras, but if Pentax is very obvious from the way the shape of the body is. And if it's a Pentax, it advances hard, pass it up. Unless you intend to go buy like 6 or 7 or 10 gear cameras from eBay and gut them and try to find a good one here and here. That's about enough. I'm harping on that too long. It's just that it's such a big thing. It's not a minor detail. It's a very important detail that you should be aware of if you intend to work on Pentaxes at all. But you've got to have those gears. And that I don't know of any source other than taking them out of other Pentaxes, in which case you will have to buy an awful lot of them to find a good one. That is one reason. That's the first thing I did when I bought it. When I went in the storeroom, first thing I did was advance it to see if it was smooth. And once it was smooth, I knew I could go ahead and restore it. If it had been hard to advance at all, I would have passed it up. Okay, got our shutter, oiling, our little timer here. What else do we have here? Remember that little window I was telling you about to see if the camera is charged or not charged? This little stud here moves according to, let's see here if I can, when I release this, that little red tab there should move. Let's see what happens. See how it moved in? It looks to me like black means that it needs to be charged, because you can just barely see it, which means if there was a little window up here, you would see black. And when you advance it, it turns red through the little window. Red means it's ready to fire. I guess that means be careful. Don't press the shutter release by accident or you'll ruin a frame. So it seems backwards to me, but that's the way it is. Okay, anything else that I can tell people? And I'm looking through it. I'll probably forget something. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this or not. One way I test timers, after I oiled one, to make sure it's working, I get air and I blow it through here. See how it's shooting back and forth? The air is moving it. And it's even making a little whizzing sound. If a timer is doing that, then it's okay. That's how I check them after I oil them, is blow a little air through there and get it to see if it's moving freely and making that noise. That means that all the points have been oiled and they are working properly, and that the timer's okay. Okay, I think I covered everything. No, I didn't. Darn it. There's always one other thing. This right here and here go to the opening and closing curtains. And right here is the adjustment, right here is the adjustment for changing their times. The opening curtain and closing curtain have to go across at the very same speed. They're separate, they're not connected, and if they're not, well, let's see here. I'll advance it here. Here, halfway. If the opening curtain is going too fast, it will come across, and the closing curtain, if it's going the correct speed, there'll be a gap here, and the gap will get bigger and bigger and bigger as the two curtains, nose goes across. And the opposite can happen. If the opening curtain is going too slow, and the closing curtain is going the way it should be going, the slit that exposes the film will get narrower and narrower and narrower. And you say, well, so what? Well, what happens is the frame of the film is from here to here, and I suppose we could maybe open it and look at it here. There we go, got it open. There's your film. This is a business card, but your film normally would be there. And what will happen is, counting on your curtains, if they're not going the same speed, this side over here may be overexposed, and this side over here of your film may be underexposed, or the opposite. This may be overexposed, this over here underexposed. If the curtains, like I said, are not totally in sync. And I have a tester which checks the curtain times. And normally there'll be something like at 12 milliseconds. And you want to get them going both across at 12 milliseconds. And that's what this adjustment here is for, and here is to make sure. I've got a chart that tells me what they're supposed to be doing, but this is not shutter speed. This is the timing on the two different curtains. That's kind of more advanced stuff. I don't know that normal people would understand even what I'm talking about here. But those curtains are like, I don't know if they still got them around, like a Xerox machine. It's a bar of light that goes across your film at the higher speeds. 30th of a second on down, that does not happen. At a 30th of a second on down, the whole film is exposed at once. But above 30, these two curtains become narrower and narrower and narrower up to when you're shooting at 1,000th of a second. The curtains are almost touching. There's just a single bar of light going across the film plane as you're going across. And that's why those two curtains have to be going across at the same time. And that's what these adjustments are for. Of course, they had to be oiled and working properly. But curtain times are totally separate from shutter speed times. Shutter speed times also have to be adjusted, but they're not curtain times. Curtain times has to do with the horizontal shutter and how it operates. And that's how it operates. And I'm sure you could go to any one of the Google site or something and they could explain it a lot better. But for the purposes of video, that's enough. Okay, that's it. It's getting late here. I've been on this all day. See if I can move that down there. And all I've got to do now is make my outro, and then I'll be done shooting. Then I get to edit for a day or two and put it together, and then put it on YouTube. And lucky me, at the end of the day, I get 20 views. And that's why I don't make videos that often. It is just, it's like banging your head against the wall. Not many people are interested in these old cameras. Okay, that is it. More. That took a long time. I started shooting yesterday and lost hours of video footage because I accidentally left the fan on in my office. I didn't notice it. It's in the kind of in the background. Keeps me cool. Office gets hot in the summer this time of year, and so I had this constant fan noise, and I had to delete all that footage, and it was painful. So today I've been shooting. Started at 12, about 10 now, or past 10 actually. It's probably about 11. Wrapping it up. The what? I saw this camera in my storeroom and caught my attention simply because I liked the old Spotmatics. Not the later ones, but the early ones that didn't even use cross-point screws. They still use the straight edge. I like the the screw mount M42, and I like the fact that it had a bulb plug on there. That was kind of nice, even though I don't use it. And I like the fact that this one was only 500, even though actually it would take pictures at 1,000 if you went past the 500. The whole camera was just really clean inside and outside. Leather was in good shape. Pressure plate looks brand new. Unfortunately, there on the top cover, so they had some dings, but a real gem. If it were on eBay and selling, say, used as in good condition or something, it might bring $75. Somebody really wanted one might ask $100. I'm going to probably ask $200 if I sell it on my website, simply because they're paying for the reverb service. But what else? I'm trying to think of what else to tell about the camera. It is a bit of history that has been lost. People born later in life wouldn't even know what a flash bulb is. They would probably think that was something we used back in the World War II, but actually we were still using them in the late 50s and early 60s. The electronic flashes came out, but when you only used flashes for like family gatherings and holidays, it really wasn't worth it to spend $100 or whatever they cost back then to use on your camera. To give you an idea, in the Army, my starting pay was under $100, and these electronic flashes back then probably cost about that also. So that was a full month's pay just to buy an electronic flash. So people kept using bulbs. I did too. Didn't think anything really about it. Everybody had. I've been using them all my life, and everybody was using them. So I'm kind of wandering here. I guess I hate to tie it up. It's like saying goodbye to an old friend. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. I hope this video, I know it won't be very popular, but I'm throwing it into the sea of YouTube videos for that one person out there that likes Spotmatics and wants to know inside them. I'm rambling here. Okay, that's it. I promise. Till next time. Later.